Hello, I'm Harry Wright, autistic comedian, and you're watching Autism 101. So this is episode 4, be a new episode coming out every week throughout the UK lockdown. I'm going to be providing some top tips on what you can get away with when you're autistic. You'd be surprised, it's quite a lot. I'm going to be having some special guests, some stuff I've been writing and working on, and hopefully teach you a bit more about being autistic and we can all have a good laugh as well. Now, this week, I don't know if you've seen the news, the case of Mika Stauffer. She is a mum from the US who fostered a little autistic boy and then gave him back. Essentially, she decided that she and her husband couldn't cope with him anymore because he was autistic and he was rehomed. Now, a lot of autistic people have been very angry about this, and I understand that, but I think I'm in the middle on it. My mum is a special needs teacher, and I know from her, I can't speak for the US, but I know from her exactly what adoption agencies and what local social services and county social services can be like. The people that work there are under a lot of pressure, and sometimes key information gets withheld before a child is placed. And that was Mika Stauffer's claim, that she wasn't told the little boy was autistic, and it wasn't something she and her husband felt they could cope with because he had behavioural problems. I think we're keen to paint them as the villains, and they definitely are in some ways. They should have handled it better. And the key bad thing they did was they did a YouTube series where they detailed their kind of perfect kind of white corn-fed teeth and picket fence life with this little boy in it, and then he was kind of quietly erased from the series and rubbed out. I understand that they didn't know, but I've just found out the little boy's name was Huxley. If you foster a kid and you're given no information at all, but you're told he's named after one of the most famous science fiction authors of all time, that kid's gonna be autistic. But I feel like a lot of the anger towards Mika Stauffer is mostly in the vlogging community rather than the outside world. Now, I'm not a vlogger, and I seem to have become one by mistake, and I still feel very mixed about it. I think we're all fascists. But I don't know how aware people are of what YouTube vloggers are like. Literally all of them are autistic. It is 100% autistic men and Zoella. That's the entire demographic. I think part of people's anger at Mika Stauffer is because she's not autistic. It's less that she had an autistic kid and gave him away. It's more that she's intruding in the community in the first place by being a neurotypical woman. That's definitely her main crime. And if she is a neurotypical woman, she at least needs to be like an ugly neurotypical woman, or a neurotypical gay woman, or somebody with like some other oppression. Just being a kind of standard, good-looking, beautiful lady with a beautiful family. Like, Zoella's got that shit covered. You can't, even if you're in America, like, that space is now taken in the vlogging world. But she obviously shouldn't have rehomed the kids and then never announced that she'd done so until it sort of suddenly came to light. But I don't know, if I was a foster kid, and I'm queer, so I'm not going to have kids of my own, if I ever did adopt or foster a child, I don't know what the line would be for what I could cope with as an autistic person. I can get very stressed and anxious, and I'm not sure whether I'd be able to cope with kids with behavioural issues or learning difficulties, and it's something that does need talking about, what extent we can deal with behaviour and what extent people can deal with difficult behaviour in autistic people, and it's a key social issue that isn't really discussed. This definitely happened to me as a little boy. I have behavioural issues, I was excluded from school. And it's why I think I'm rejecting the term neurotypical. Now, if you're watching this, I assume you know, but if anyone doesn't, neurotypical is what almost the opposite of autistic. It's people without any neurological conditions that make their life harder day to day. We describe ourselves as neurodiverse. Autism is one of many neurodiversities that can include depression, learning difficulties. And neurotypicals are basically boring bitches with none of those. But I think I've rejected the term neurotypical because I don't really like what typical means. Typical is quite an objectionable term. What is typical? We're all different. I think it's because when I was little, my mum would call me in for tea and she'd go, "Harry, come in for your tea. Harry, come in for your tea." And I'd say, "No, I'm memorising all 162 world flags." And she'd go, "Oof, typical." So that's the thing, it can be used to bring autistic people up as well. Like, it was used about me all the time in that context. The other sort of interesting aspect of the Mika Stauffer case, though, and I'm going to move on from this after this, is that it's emerged her husband may also be autistic. Now, that's not confirmed, it's just something that's been going around on social media and is a rumour. But if so, I think the reason that autistic boy was rehomed, that little Huxley was rehomed, was because she had one autistic man in the family already and thought if she was going to have another, she needs to achieve perfect parity by having him neurotypical. Because to me, that is the modern woke household. Neurotypical lady, neurodiverse man, child somewhere in the middle. So it'd be fine for Huxley to be neurotypical as long as he was gay. I've been thinking quite seriously about whether to keep making these. I enjoy creating stuff in lockdown and want to make them, but there's the argument that non-black people at the moment should have a pause from creating content and let black voices be amplified. And I do agree with that, but I think the best way I can do it is try and amplify black autistic voices where I can. And it's a very serious thing to sort of get serious on you for a moment. There are very few black autistic voices, with public work in the public domain to amplify. My privilege is definitely showing by saying this, but I'm struggling to find living black autistic artists and creators and writers, thinkers, academics whose work I can, publicly promote. And that's, I don't know, part of it is my fault for not looking hard enough. And part of it is the fault of society at large, of the autistic community, for not, bringing these people into the fold as much as we could do. It's very interesting to see. It's something I need to work on and will be doing, but it's very interesting to see the evidence that suggests that autism is generally diagnosed not only more in men, which we've known for ages, but more in white men. There's definitely an image of what an autistic person is like. It's kind of someone like me. It's maybe someone quite nerdy, sort of quite socially distant, very good at maths and science. Somebody who's fucking loving lockdown, in other words. But it doesn't look like society's stereotypical image of a black person. And that's a terrible thing, and it's something we need to work really hard to change. I'm going to be recommending something by an autistic artist every day where I can on my social media channels at Harry Wright Comedy on all the good social media and none of the crap social media. No TikTok for me, no thank you. And yeah, I'm going to try and just boost as many voices as I can, really. I'm going to introduce our guests for today. Later on as well, we've got Mark Blake and Yorick Moll from the Autistic League, which I'm a member of. It's a fantastic new emerging organisation doing great things for autism advocacy, and they're going to be coming on and talking about that later on. And we're going to be talking about, we'll be trying to get into some of these topics, racial relations and autism and what we can do about it. And I'm going to be putting up some resources that Black Lives Matter UK have put out about how we can best work to make life easier for black autistic people. And yeah, get in touch. If you're a black autistic person of colour, get in touch. I'd love to boost whatever you're doing, have you on, have a chat with you, come and tell some jokes in it, come and play some music, come and plug your new book. Not just creatives, anyone that's making or doing or writing anything. Yeah, come and tell me all about it. I would genuinely really love to hear from you. Entirely my fault that I've struggled to find resources so far, but yeah, please do. I'm happy to give you this platform, this space, however you want it. Let's do it. Everything in my world is so much more interesting than what you're saying. You can use your lack of eye contact to look at people you fancy and get away with it. Or sometimes you don't want to be in a conversation, just pretend there's someone there.
Harry, did you leave the oven on? Are you even listening?
Oh, sorry. Look, he's hot, look.
Where? I don't see him.
Oh, you just missed him.
Oh. Harry, do you want a cupcake?
What? Why would I want that? It's separate ingredients touching on the same thing. The icing's touching. Do you want to let me have a panic attack?
Sorry. Action.
Ah, much more like it. Oh, me again, guys, in significantly worse lighting than before. It was me in the previous clips as well, in case you hadn't noticed or wondering. Thanks to Joy Harvey for all her help with those. She's a star. She lives with me, so I have to say that. Check out everything she's doing. She's a brilliant comic, very, very funny lady. But yeah, it's how I changed my shirt since the intro. Yeah, only my stylist knows. This is a highly professional operation, of course. But yeah, normally at this point, as you'll know, I would recommend some autistic creators, some autistic people, or people who work closely with the autistic, who are doing great work in various cultural fields. This week, I'm going to do something a bit different. Over the past week, I've been posting Black autistic heroes on social media. So that's Black autistic people, people who are very underrepresented both in the Black community and in the autistic community, and trying to amplify some people doing great stuff now within that intersection and some of the work they're doing. So there's everybody on there, from writers to social workers to diversity advocates. And yeah, check them all out. If you go to H Wright Comedy, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all the good social medias, none of the bad social medias, you'll see them there. Please check out their work. It's pointless if I just make a post and everyone follows me and then doesn't bother to look up the actual Black people that I'm trying to amplify and promote. That's not the point. Obviously do, because I could do with the likes, but it ain't about me right now. So check all those out, the Black autistic heroes. Hopefully we can, make some of them a bit of money and get those voices heard, because they're an extremely underrepresented group, even within two socially very underrepresented communities. I am going to be hosting a roundtable with autistic people of colour over the next few weeks, so more details on that to follow. Another thing, Dara McAnulty, who I recommended a few weeks ago, he's a young naturalist who's doing fantastic stuff at the moment. His book, Diary of a Young Naturalist, has been nominated for the Wainwright Prize for nature writing. It's on the long list, and I think it's going to win because he's having a moment right now. He fully deserves it. So buy that any way you can. Don't buy it from Amazon because they're dickheads. You can get it from Houseman's Books, I think, so check them out. Please, please do read that. It's a fantastic read, very funny, very easy read. Even if you're not interested in the environment, which you should be. Now, I was going to have Mark Blake from the Autistic League, which is an advocacy group that I am in, come on and do a little interview this week and tell us a little bit more about that. But unfortunately, due to circumstances outside of both our control, which as an autistic person is very ironic and very frustrating, he isn't able to be here. So that will be happening next week. Looking forward to that. Definitely tune in and check that out. And yeah, like and subscribe because it does help me out. People go on and on about virtue signalling, but I don't believe in that, quite frankly. The more we talk about these things and the more we go on and on about them, the louder we push for change, the more we keep talking about it, the more likely lasting change will be affected, and that applies to white people as well. So yeah, do whatever you can, guys. Don't let this social cultural moment pass. And yeah, life isn't going to go back to normal for a long time, but in some ways, that's a good thing. Because as I've said before, autistic people, we like it. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. This is Autism 101. I'm Harry Wright at H Wright Comedy. See you next week.